that is?
20 most brutal battles in Wild West history. The Wild West was home to some of the most intense and bloody battles in American history, where Native American tribes, settlers, outlaws, and soldiers clashed in epic showdowns. Number 20. The Alamo, 1836. The most legendary battles in American history. The Alamo. Think of it like this. It's the Texas Revolution, and a small group of Texan rebels is holed up in an old mission called the Alamo, standing against the might of the Mexican army. Among these brave souls are some famous names you might recognize: Davy Crockett, James Bowie, and William B. Travis. The siege begins in February 1836 with the Mexican General Santa Anna determined to crush the rebellion. For 13 days, the defenders of the Alamo hold out against overwhelming odds. They know the end is near, but their determination doesn't waver. The final assault comes on March the 6th. Mexican troops storm the mission in a brutal battle that lasts just over an hour. Despite their fierce resistance, the Texans are overrun, and nearly all of them are killed. But here's the thing. The Alamo becomes much more than a tragic defeat. It turns into a symbol of courage and sacrifice. "Remember the Alamo" becomes a rallying cry for the Texan forces, inspiring them to continue their fight for independence. In many ways, the Alamo represents the indomitable spirit of standing up against impossible odds, a story that's deeply ingrained in American culture. Wait till you hear about this next battle. Number 19, Battle of Little Bighorn, 1876. This one is set during the Great Sioux War, and it's a tale of hubris and heroism. Leading the charge for the U.S. Army is General George Custer, a man known for his boldness and sometimes recklessness. On the other side, you have legendary Native American leaders like Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. In June 1876, Custer and his 7th Cavalry come across a massive encampment of Lakota, Northern Cheyenne, and Arapaho tribes along the Little Bighorn River. Confident in his chances, Custer decides to attack without waiting for reinforcements. It's a fatal miscalculation. The Native American warriors, far more numerous than Custer anticipated, launch a counterattack. The battle is swift and decisive. Custer and all his men are killed. The impact of Little Bighorn is profound. It's one of the greatest defeats for the U.S. Army in the Indian Wars, and it shocks the nation. For the Native American tribes, it's a significant victory that momentarily halts U.S. expansion into their territories. However, the victory is bittersweet, as it leads to increased military efforts to subdue the Plains tribes. Little Bighorn stands as a poignant reminder of the fierce resistance of Native Americans and the tragic consequences of underestimating them. Speaking of epic showdowns, have you heard about? Number 18, Battle of Adobe Walls, 1874. The Battle of Adobe Walls, a fascinating clash during the Red River War. This battle takes place in 1874 at a remote trading post in the Texan Panhandle. Imagine a small group of buffalo hunters, including the famous Bat Masterson, going about their business when, out of nowhere, they are attacked by a large force of Native Americans, led by Quanah Parker, a prominent Comanche leader. The attack is a surprise, and it's fierce, but the hunters are well armed and manage to hold their ground. The battle lasts for several days, with the Native American forces repeatedly trying to overrun the defender.
There is no enemy camp.
Despite their numerical superiority, they can't break through the hunters' defenses.
There is no enemy camp.
This is the right place.
Eventually, the attackers withdraw, marking a tactical victory for the hunters. Adobe Walls might not be as famous as the Alamo or Little Bighorn, but it has significant implications. It demonstrates the determination and resilience of the Plains tribes, but it also marks a turning point. The U.S. Army intensifies its campaign against the Southern Plains tribes, leading to their eventual defeat and relocation to reservations. This battle underscores the relentless struggle between Native Americans and settlers, and the tragic outcomes of these conflicts. These stories of the Wild West are more than just historical events. They're tales of bravery, tragedy, and the relentless pursuit of ideals. They remind us of the complexities of American history and the enduring spirit of those who lived through these brutal times. Which brings us to another legendary clash. Number 17, the gunfight at the OK Corral, 1881. The most famous showdown in Wild West history, the gunfight at the OK Corral, Tombstone, Arizona, in 1881, a town brimming with tension between lawmen and outlaw cowboys. At the heart of this tale are some legendary figures: Wyatt Earp, his friend Doc Holliday, and the Clanton brothers.
In this moment, on this day, become the man you were born to be!
The gunfight itself was brief but intense, lasting only about 30 seconds.
You have it within yourselves to write your own legends. Let it be to death!
It took place on October the 26th, 1881. The Earps and Doc Holliday confronted the Clantons and McClorys near the OK Corral, and in a flurry of gunfire, 3 men lay dead and several others were wounded. Despite its brevity, this shootout captured the imagination of the public. The aftermath was as dramatic as the gunfight. There were hearings and accusations, with the Earps and Holliday eventually being cleared of murder charges. Over time, the gunfight at the OK Corral has been heavily dramatized in books, movies, and TV shows, often blurring the lines between legend and reality. It's a prime example of how Wild West stories grow larger than life, shaping our cultural legacy and the mythos of frontier justice. But that's not all. Let's dive into number 16, the Lincoln County War, 1878. The Lincoln County War, a brutal and chaotic conflict rooted in economic and political rivalries in Lincoln County, New Mexico. This war embroiled a mix of ranchers, businessmen, and outlaws, including the infamous Billy the Kid, John Tunstall, and Lawrence Murphy. The conflict kicked off in 1878 and quickly escalated into a series of skirmishes and ambushes. At the center was a power struggle between rival factions vying for control of the local economy. John Tunstall's murder by the Murphys faction sparked a violent response from the Tunstall's allies, including Billy the Kid. This led to a bloody feud marked by back-and-forth killings and battles.
Maybe today.
The Lincoln County War didn't just create chaos in New Mexico, it also cemented Billy the Kid's status as an outlaw legend. His involvement in the war, coupled with his notorious escape from jail and eventual death at the hands of Pat Garrett, turned him into a folk hero of sorts. The war underscores the lawlessness of the Wild West and the violent lengths people would go to for power and revenge. If you thought that was intense, get ready for number 15, Battle of Beecher Island, 1868. This battle took place in September 1868, along the Arickaree River in present-day Colorado. Leading the U.S. troops was Colonel George Forsyth, while the Cheyenne were led by the formidable warrior Roman Nose. Forsyth and his scouts found themselves surrounded and under siege for 9 grueling days.
Take cover!
Despite being outnumbered and suffering from severe wounds, they held their ground against repeated attacks. The scouts' resourcefulness and bravery in constructing makeshift defenses and rationing their limited supplies were nothing short of heroic. Despite being outnumbered and suffering from severe wounds, they held their ground against repeated attacks. The battle ended with the arrival of reinforcements, but it left a lasting impression on both sides. For the U.S. Army, Beecher Island became a notable example of frontier military tactics and resilience. For the Cheyenne, it was a testament to their fierce resistance. The battle is a stark reminder of the harsh and relentless nature of the conflicts that defined the Indian Wars. These stories from the Wild West are full of drama, heroism, and tragedy, reflecting the turbulent times of America's frontier history. They remind us of the complex and often brutal realities of life in the Wild West, shaping the legends we still talk about today. Hold on to your hats for this one. Number 14, Battle of Washita River, 1868. The Battle of Washita River took place during the Indian Wars. This was part of a larger campaign against the Southern Cheyenne, and it involved some pretty well-known figures like General George Armstrong Custer and the Cheyenne leader Black Kettle. On the chilly morning of November the 27th, 1868, Custer led his 7th Cavalry in a surprise attack on the Cheyenne village along the Washita River, located in what is now Oklahoma. The attack was swift and brutal. Custer's men charged into the village at dawn, catching the Cheyenne completely off guard. The chaos that ensued was devastating. Many Cheyenne, including women and children, were killed, and the village was burned to the ground. The aftermath of this battle was highly controversial. While Custer saw it as a significant victory against hostile tribes, the attack drew sharp criticism for its impact on non-combatants. Black Kettle, a peace advocate among his people, was among those killed. The strategic outcome was a blow to the Cheyennes' ability to resist, but it also highlighted the brutal realities of the Indian Wars and the moral complexities surrounding them. The Battle of Washita River remains a stark reminder of the harsh and often tragic nature of frontier conflicts. Next up, let's explore the story of number 13, Battle of Wounded Knee, 1890. The Battle of Wounded Knee, one of the most tragic and significant events in American history. This battle took place in the context of the Ghost Dance movement, a spiritual revival among the Sioux that aimed to restore their way of life and bring peace. However, the U.S. government viewed it as a potential uprising. On December the 29th, 1890, the U.S. 7th Cavalry intercepted a group of Lakota Sioux led by Chief Bigfoot near Wounded Knee Creek in South Dakota. Tensions were already high, and as the soldiers attempted to disarm the Lakota, a shot was fired. This led to a catastrophic massacre. The cavalry opened fire with rifles and Hotchkiss guns, killing over 150 Lakota men, women, and children. The impact of Wounded Knee was profound and devastating. It marked the end of large-scale Native American resistance in the United States. The massacre symbolized the brutal suppression of Native American culture and the relentless expansionist policies of the U.S. government. It's a haunting chapter in American history, reminding us of the severe consequences of cultural misunderstandings and military aggression. And now, let's talk about Number 12, Battle of San Jacinto, 1836. This battle was all about securing Texas's independence from Mexico, and the key figures involved were Sam Houston, leading the Texan forces, and General Santa Anna on the Mexican side. On April the 21st, 1836, Houston's army launched a surprise attack on Santa Anna's troops near present-day Houston, Texas. The battle was incredibly swift. It lasted just 18 minutes. Houston's forces overwhelmed the Mexican army, capturing Santa Anna himself the next day. This decisive victory effectively secured Texas's independence, leading to the establishment of the Republic of Texas. The Battle of San Jacinto had a huge impact. Not only did it secure independence, but it also paved the way for Texas to eventually join the United States. It's celebrated as a defining moment in Texas history and a testament to the strategic brilliance and determination of the Texan forces under Houston's leadership. This victory demonstrated how a well-timed and executed surprise attack could change the course of history. But wait, there's more. Check out Number 11, Battle of Palo Duro Canyon, 1874. This battle was part of the U.S. military's efforts to subdue the Southern Plains tribes, and it involved Colonel Randall S. Mackenzie leading the U.S. forces. On September 28, 1874, Mackenzie's troops descended into Palo Duro Canyon in Texas, where several Native American villages were located. The attack was devastating. The U.S. forces destroyed the villages, captured the tribes' horses, and burned their supplies. This effectively crippled the Native American tribes' ability to sustain themselves and resist further. The aftermath of Palo Duro Canyon was a severe blow to the Southern Plains tribes. Deprived of their resources, they were forced to surrender and move to reservations. This battle was a turning point in the Red River War, marking the decline of Native American resistance in the region. It showcased the harsh tactics used by the U.S. military to achieve their goals and the devastating impact on the Native American way of life. These battles paint a vivid picture of the Wild West, filled with stories of courage, tragedy, and the relentless fight for survival and freedom. They remind us of the complex history that shaped the American frontier and the enduring legacies of those who lived through these tumultuous times. Let's switch gears and jump into Number 10, the Battle of the North Fork, 1863. The Battle of the North Fork, a significant event during the Apache Wars. This was a time of intense conflict between the U.S. military and Apache warriors, who were fiercely defending their homeland. The key figures here are General James H. Carleton, leading the U.S. troops, and the formidable Apache leader Cochise. In 1863, General Carleton's forces engaged Cochise's warriors in the rugged terrain of what is now Arizona. The Apache, known for their guerrilla tactics and deep knowledge of the land, put up a formidable resistance. The battle was fierce, with both sides demonstrating incredible tenacity and bravery. The U.S. troops, though better equipped, struggled against the hit-and-run tactics of the Apache. The aftermath of the Battle of the North Fork highlighted the relentless struggle against Apache resistance. It showed just how difficult it was for the U.S. military to subdue the Apache, who used their intimate knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. This engagement was part of a larger series of conflicts that underscored the determination of the Apache to defend their way of life, making it clear that the fight was far from over. Now, here's a battle that took things to the next level. Number 9, Battle of Fort Federman, 1876. The Battle of Fort Federman, which took place during the Great Sioux War. This war saw numerous clashes between the U.S. Army and various Native American tribes, including the Sioux and Cheyenne. General Crook was a prominent figure leading the U.S. forces during his period, In 1876, General Crook's troops found themselves ambushed by the Sioux and Cheyenne warriors near Fort Federman in Wyoming. The Native American forces, well aware of the movements and tactics of the U.S. Army, launched a surprise attack that caught Crook's men off guard. The ambush was intense, with fierce fighting on both sides. The impact of this battle was significant. It was part of the larger campaign that eventually led to the infamous Battle of Little Bighorn. The ambush at Fort Fetterman highlighted the strategic capabilities of the Sioux and Cheyenne warriors and the challenges faced by the U.S. Army in their campaign to control the Great Plains. It set the stage for the dramatic and tragic events that would follow in the Great Sioux War. Shifting our focus, have you heard about Number 8, Battle of Rosebud Creek, 1876. The Battle of Rosebud Creek, another crucial engagement during the Great Sioux War. This battle took place on June 17, 1876, and involved two legendary figures, Crazy Horse, a prominent leader of the Oglala Lakota, and General Crook, representing the U.S. Army. The Battle of Rosebud Creek was a large-scale engagement that occurred just days before the Battle of Little Bighorn. General Crook led his troops into Montana Territory, unaware of the formidable force he was about to face. Crazy Horse had united a coalition of Sioux and Cheyenne warriors prepared to defend their land. The fighting was intense and lasted for several hours. Despite being outnumbered, Crazy Horse's warriors managed to force Crook's troops to retreat. This was a strategic victory for the Native American forces, showcasing their tactical brilliance and determination. The success at Rosebud Creek prevented Crook's forces from joining General Custer, contributing to the overwhelming defeat of the U.S. Army at Little Bighorn. The aftermath of the Battle of Rosebud Creek underscored the strength and resilience of the Native American warriors. It demonstrated their ability to coordinate and execute complex military strategies, highlighting the depth of their resistance against U.S. expansion. This battle, along with Little Bighorn, became a symbol of Native American resistance and the fierce struggle to protect their lands and way of life. These battles, with their intense conflicts and strategic maneuvers, paint a vivid picture of the relentless struggle between the U.S. military and Native American tribes. They remind us of the complexities and brutal realities of the American frontier, where both sides fought fiercely for their survival and beliefs. The battle that ensued was a large-scale engagement, with around 1,500 Native American warriors taking on Crook's 1,300 soldiers. The fighting was intense and lasted for several hours, with both sides showing incredible bravery. Despite being outnumbered, the Native American forces managed to force Crook's men to retreat. This was a strategic victory for Crazy Horse and his allies, weakening Crook's forces and preventing them from joining Custer at Little Bighorn. The Battle of Rosebud Creek demonstrated the tactical prowess of the Native American leaders and their ability to unite against a common threat. The next battle on our list will blow your mind. Number 7, Battle of Pease River, 1860. The Battle of Pease River, a significant event during the Texas Indian Wars. This battle took place on December the 19th, 1860, and involved a surprise attack led by Saul Ross against a Comanche camp. The Texas Rangers, along with a group of militia, had been tracking the Comanche for weeks. Early one morning, they launched a swift and brutal assault on the camp. The Comanche, caught off guard, were quickly overwhelmed. During the chaos, the Rangers found a white woman among the Comanche, Cynthia Ann Parker, who had been kidnapped by the tribe as a child and had lived with them for 24 years. The rescue of Cynthia Ann Parker had profound implications. Her return to white society was both celebrated and tragic. She struggled to readjust to her old life, mourning the loss of her Comanche family. Her story became a symbol of the complex and often heartbreaking interactions between settlers and Native Americans during this period. The battle itself underscores the relentless and often ruthless nature of the Texas Indian Wars. Now, prepare yourself for the tale of Number 6, Battle of Platt Bridge, 1865. The Battle of Platt Bridge, which took place during the Sioux Wars. This battle happened on July the 26th, 1865, near what is now known as Casper, Wyoming. It involved Colonel Brown leading U.S. Army troops against a force of Sioux and Cheyenne warriors, including the renowned Crazy Horse. The U.S. Army post at Platt Bridge was a strategic point, and the Native American forces aimed to disrupt the military supply lines. They launched a surprise attack, taking advantage of their intimate knowledge of the terrain. The battle was fierce, with the Sioux and Cheyenne employing hit-and-run tactics that left the U.S. troops struggling to defend their position. The significance of this battle lies in its impact on the Northern Plains conflicts. It highlighted the ongoing resistance of the Sioux and Cheyenne against U.S. expansion. The battle also demonstrated the tactical prowess of Crazy Horse and his warriors. Despite the heavy fighting, the U.S. Army managed to hold the post, but the battle underscored the intense and relentless nature of the conflict on the plains. The attack was swift and brutal. The Rangers stormed the camp, catching the Comanche by surprise. During the chaos, they managed to rescue Cynthia Ann Parker, who was found with her daughter. The aftermath of the battle had significant implications. Cynthia Ann Parker's rescue became a symbol of frontier justice and the complexities of cultural assimilation. However, it also led to further tensions and violence between the settlers and the Comanche, who saw the attack as a grave injustice. Coming up, we have the epic story of Number 5. Battle of Slim Buttes, 1876. The Battle of Slim Buttes, another crucial event during the Great Sioux War. This battle took place on September the 9th and 10th of 1876, a few months after the infamous Battle of Little Bighorn. General Crook, leading the U.S. forces, was desperate for a victory to boost his troops' morale. Crook's forces, weary and low on supplies, stumbled upon the Lakota village in the Black Hills. They launched a surprise attack at dawn, catching the villagers off guard. The U.S. troops quickly overran the village, capturing much-needed supplies and horses. The battle was a swift victory for Crook's men, providing a significant morale boost after the devastating loss at Little Bighorn. The aftermath of the Battle of Slim Buttes was crucial. It demonstrated that the U.S. Army could still achieve victories, even in the face of previous defeats. The capture of supplies was a logistical win, and the victory helped to restore some confidence among the U.S. troops. For the Lakota, the battle was a reminder of the relentless pressure they faced from the U.S. military. These battles, with their intense conflicts and significant outcomes, provide a vivid glimpse into the turbulent history of the American frontier. They reveal the complex and often brutal interactions between settlers, Native Americans, and the military, shaping the legacy of the Wild West. And now, for another brutal showdown. Number 4. Battle of Big Hole, 1877. A dramatic and intense conflict during the Nez Perce War. It's August 9th and 10th, 1877, and the Nez Perce, led by the renowned Chief Joseph, are on the run, trying to escape to Canada to avoid being forced onto a reservation. They're being pursued by the U.S. Army led by Colonel John Gibbon. In the early hours of August the 9th, Gibson's forces launched a surprise attack on the Nez Perce camp in Montana. The initial assault caught the Nez Perce off guard, resulting in significant casualties. However, the Nez Perce quickly regrouped and mounted a fierce defense, turning the battle into a bloody and chaotic siege. The fighting continued throughout the day, with both sides suffering heavy losses. The aftermath of the Battle of Big Hole was tragic and marked by immense hardship for the Nez Perce. Despite their brave defense, they were forced to abandon their camp and continue their arduous journey toward Canada. The battle highlighted the incredible resilience of the Nez Perce, but also the relentless pursuit by the U.S. military. Their fight to Canada became a symbol of their determination to live freely, despite the overwhelming odds against them. Up next, you won't believe the intensity of Number 3, Battle of Rattlesnake Springs, 1880. A key event in Victorio's war, this battle took place in August of 1880, involving the famed Apache leader Victorio and U.S. forces led by Colonel Grierson. Victorio had been leading a campaign against the U.S. military, causing significant trouble with his guerrilla tactics. At Rattlesnake Springs, located in West Texas near El Paso, Grierson's troops finally caught up with him. The battle was intense, with both sides fighting fiercely. However, the U.S. forces had superior numbers and firepower, and they managed to defeat Victorio's warriors. The aftermath of the Battle of Rattlesnake Springs was a significant blow to the Apache resistance. With this defeat, Victorio's campaign was effectively over. The decline of Apache resistance in the region followed, as many Apache warriors were killed, captured, or forced to surrender. This battle marked a turning point in the struggle between the Apache and the U.S. military, leading to the eventual pacification of the region. Here's a battle whose legacy still echoes today. Number 2, Battle of Cibecue Creek, 1881. The Battle of Cibecue Creek, which occurred during the Apache Wars. This battle happened on August 30th, 1881, and involved U.S. forces under General Carr, clashing with Apache warriors during an attempt to arrest an Apache leader. The U.S. troops were sent to apprehend a prominent Apache leader suspected of inciting rebellion. However, the arrest attempt quickly escalated into a violent confrontation. The Apache warriors, fiercely protective of their leader, attacked the U.S. troops. The battle was chaotic, with intense close-quarters fighting and significant casualties on both sides. The aftermath of the Battle of Cibecue Creek saw an escalation of tensions and violence in the region. The clash highlighted the deep-seated resistance of the Apache people and their willingness to fight for their leaders and way of life. This battle contributed to the ongoing cycle of conflict between the U.S. military and the Apache, further complicating efforts to achieve peace in the region. Let's continue with the fierce conflict of Number 1, Battle of the Seline River, 1867. The Battle of the Seline River, a notable conflict during the Plains Indian Wars. This battle took place on August 2, 1867, when a U.S. cavalry unit was ambushed by Cheyenne forces in Kansas. The Cheyenne, utilizing their knowledge of the terrain, launched a surprise attack on the U.S. troops. The initial ambush was effective, causing significant confusion and casualties among the cavalry. However, the U.S. troops managed to regroup and mount a defensive stand. The battle was fierce, with both sides displaying remarkable bravery and tactical skill. The aftermath of the Battle of the Seline River highlighted the ongoing and relentless conflicts on the Great Plains. The battle underscored the determination of the Cheyenne to resist U.S. expansion and the challenges faced by the U.S. military in subduing the Native American tribes. This engagement was part of the broader struggle for control of the plains, reflecting the intense and often brutal nature of these frontier wars. These battles, filled with drama, courage, and tragedy, provide a vivid snapshot of the complex and turbulent history of the American frontier. They reveal the resilience and determination of both the Native American tribes and the U.S. military, each fighting for survival and dominance in an ever-changing landscape. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.